Today, we're tackling something that school definitely never prepares you for, the super complex, unwritten rules of relationships at work. We're going to dive into Chapter 9 of Life Actually and build your personal playbook for the modern workplace.
Okay, so think about your first job, or maybe even the one you're in right now. You click with someone, right? You're venting about deadlines over Slack, you grab coffee, it totally feels like you're making a friend. But then you kind of notice the rules are different. What you can say, who you can really trust, it gets complicated. That blurry line between a work friend and an actual friend is what we're digging into first, because honestly, getting that wrong can really mess with your career.
So rule number one, and this is the absolute foundation for everything else we're going to talk about, your colleagues are not your friends. I know, that sounds a little harsh, but they operate under a totally different set of rules. And confusing the two isn't just awkward, it can be a serious career-limiting move. Let's break down exactly why.
This slide just lays it all out, crystal clear. Look at the friendship side. It's all about equality, privacy, that personal vibe. But then look at the work relationship column. It's governed by a completely different physics. I mean, think about it. Your boss can never truly be an equal friend because of that built-in power dynamic. And that chat on the company Slack, yeah, that's not a private conversation. It's a permanent, searchable record. And that right there is a total game changer for how you have to think about communicating.
In this quote from the book, it absolutely nails it. Friendly is not the same as safe. Look, being warm and collaborative at work is of course essential, but you cannot mistake that friendship for the unconditional safety of a real friendship. That vent session you had with your work bestie about your boss, it does not have the same privacy shield you think it does. It's honestly one of the biggest traps people fall into, especially early in their careers.
And this really gets to the heart of it. We've got to totally rewire our brains about what trust even means at work. You know, in our personal lives, trust is emotional. It's about being vulnerable, sharing secrets. At work, professional trust is all about something way more practical: reliability. Can I count on you to get your work done on time? Do you communicate clearly? That's it. It's not exciting. In fact, as the book points out, real professional trust is kind of boring. And you know what? That's a good thing.
Okay, let's move on, because this next rule builds right on top of that. Sooner or later, every single working relationship gets tested by conflict. It's just going to happen. But here's the key. Dodging conflict doesn't make you a team player. Nope. Learning how to handle it constructively, that's what actually builds your reputation as someone people want to work with.
So how do you actually do this without it turning into a fight? Well, the book gives this really simple 3-step playbook. Step 1, separate the person from the problem. You know, it's the Grand Canyon of difference between saying, you messed this up, and, hey, there seems to be an issue with the data in this report. One is an attack, the other is a problem to solve. Step 2, listen to understand, not just to argue back. Using a simple phrase like, so what I'm hearing you say is like a magic trick for de-escalation. And finally, step 3, own your part. Even a small admission like, you know, maybe I wasn't clear in my last email, can completely flip the dynamic from a battle into a collaboration.
But sometimes you can do everything right, and a conflict is still just too big or too messy to solve on your own. And that is okay. That's not a failure on your part. It's a signal that you need to use your professional safety net. And knowing how to do that is a seriously critical skill.
The first piece of that safety net is documentation. Now let's be super clear about what this means. This is not about secretly building a gotcha file on a colleague. It's about creating a factual, objective record, because our memories are actually terrible, especially when we're stressed. A quick follow-up email saying, hey, just to confirm, we decided on option B in that meeting, isn't passive-aggressive. It's professional. It protects you, it protects them, and it protects the project by replacing shaky memories with facts.
But knowing when to escalate, that's a real sign of professional maturity. You don't run to your manager for every little disagreement. You use this option strategically. You escalate when a project's success is genuinely at risk. You escalate when you see a clear pattern of unprofessional behavior, especially after you've tried to handle it yourself. And you definitely escalate when team morale is just tanking because of a conflict. It's all about recognizing when the problem is bigger than just two people.
And seriously, let's get one thing straight. Escalating to your manager or to HR is not tattling, it's not you admitting defeat, it's you, as a professional, realizing that a problem has grown beyond your ability to solve it alone. You're just using the formal systems the company put in place for exactly these situations, to protect the work, the team, and yourself.
All right, wow, we have covered a ton of ground. We've talked about that whole friend versus colleague paradox, how to handle disagreements, and when it's time to call for backup. So let's boil all of that down into a final, actionable playbook.
So here it is, your entire workplace relationship playbook in 3 core rules. First, define the relationship. Be friendly, be warm, but always maintain that professional boundary. Second, master disagreement. Reframe conflict in your head. It's not a fight to be won, it's a problem to be solved together. And third, use your safety net. Document for clarity and escalate for protection. These 3 ideas, they're your guide.
And I really want to leave you with this final thought. You know, it's easy to be a great colleague when everything's going smoothly. But your real reputation, the one that's going to define your career, that gets forged in the difficult moments. It's built on how you navigate disagreement, how you respect boundaries, and how you use your judgment when the pressure is on. So the question isn't just about how to avoid drama. It's about consciously deciding what kind of professional you want to be. So, how are you going to build yours?